Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Unfeathered live stream. My name is Netta. I am your host. I'm the founder of Unfeathered. My co founder, Justin Thomas, was not able to join us today. Sending you healing energy, Justin. I hope you feel better. But we are live streaming currently on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Our special guest, Sherilyn Pratt, is back. Thank you so much for being here with us. This is the third episode, the third part three of the live stream on branding. So we were really excited to talk about part three. What is part three all about? Part three is being discoverable. So you did your brand, you build your public, but what's the point if people can't find you? Yes, people can find you if you comment on others' portfolio, like comment on other people's contents and so on and so forth, but you want to be discoverable. And in today's live stream, we'll be covering exactly that. So we are going to be also very forward thinking. My guest, Sherilyn Pratt, will be talking about a concept called um, cloud stories that she has reversed engineered. She'll explain what it is. And this is a very super interactive session. I would like our audience to engage because we could demonstrate what your cloud story is all about. Now, Sherilyn, kindly introduce yourself and tell us what the cloud stories are. And to our audience, I would love to see you engage in the comments because we will respond and we will feature your comments. And if you want to volunteer to have your account, your name, uh, you know, you want Sherilyn to run and see what your cloud story looks like, drop something in the comments. Thank you. Sherilyn, the mic is yours.
Hello, Netta. Yes, my name is Sherilyn, and I have been playing around with AI for about 18 months. My background is PR, instructional design, and basically writing stories, right? If you look me up, I've written fiction, I've written corporate narratives, case studies, like all those things. I'm one of those people that trains people by typically the tens of thousands, sometimes the hundreds of thousands, right? How do you get people to behave the same way in Paris as they do in New York, as they do in South Africa, as they do in Japan? How do you get entire teams, international teams, to do the same things for the same reasons with the same values, right? And so as AI has emerged, and so that's key when you're looking. So it's called Story Clouds. And first of all, Nita, I did one for you. And what was your impression of it? Um,
Pretty
so
accurate. It was pretty
yeah,
accurate. I'm sorry. I just need to make a statement I forgot to make. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Go.
Anything I say in this live stream or anything I do on social media is not a reflection of the company I work for. Sorry, I had to say that. But yes, the cloud story you made for me was pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah, and so that's kind of
Pretty
what the
accurate.
idea.
How'd you do it? I'm curious.
So So the goal with AI, I think, is to take anything you do and systemize it, right? And say, can I get AI to do what I do, but can it do it faster? Right. So once upon a time, like for example, there was this book that I wrote like literally 10 years ago called Build Your Brand, right? Is it dated now? Yes, it was written before AI. But this was, I wrote this actually to help the little guy, right? Because I was working with all these big companies and doing all these things. And I had some friends around me that were like, hey, like you always help the big guy. You never help the little guy. Like, how do we compete? Like, I'm this little thing and they're this big thing. And how do I like, how am I considered equal with them? Or why should people consider my product along with this big product, right? Because this big product has all the market saturation, it has all the advertising, it has all the credibility, it has the endorsements, it has all these things. And how can I get people to consider me? And it was like, well, brands across the board, if you're a big brand, there's a lot, you're playing by a certain set of rules. And when you're small and when you're a startup, there's different rules, right? You're playing by different rules when you're getting your first customer versus your 100th customer versus your 1,000th customer versus your millionth customer. Like there's these thresholds where you have to play by different rules to scale, right? And I feel like AI is similar in that way, right? So as AI has emerged, I've looked at it very much the same way, right? So an important thing to understanding story clouds is that I am not a programmer, right? And I'm not trying to do a programmer's job, right? The programmer is out there and they are building blueprints. This is how AI works, right? Here's the schema of it. Here's the plumbing of it. Here's how things move. Here's the circulatory system, right? They're doing this whole thing. And then branding and all that stuff is more like, okay, well, where are we? Are we in an apartment complex? Are we in a mall? Like, what is this place? And what's the story that moves through this blueprint? Right. And so that's what you need to look, and you have to say, okay, here's AI. What story do I want to tell? And right now, you're going to have a lot of people say,
Let's pause for a second.
go,
I just want to make sure I understood.
go.
Branding is like branding is like the story in motion, right? And the programmers are, I guess, writing that story, the blueprint of that story, right?
They're not writing, they're writing the system that it moves through. Does that make sense? So you have a building, but in
Let's
that
use a
building,
bus as an analogy,
okay.
right? So the programmer, what do they do with the bus?
The programmer doesn't do anything. They design the bus. This is how the engine works. This is how, the fluids move through it, right? These are how the wheels come on, and these are how they're fastened, right? The programmer is why the bus functions, why it moves, why it
Oh,
turns on,
okay.
right? They're the whole thing that says this is the machine and this is how it works. Your brand is, where does this bus go? Who gets on it? What do they want? Where are they going? What are they going to get when they get there? Are they going to get back on?
Where are they traveling to? And all the whys. The whys.
All, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And so if you're building your brand, you need to say, okay, this is the bus. Here's AI. What story am I going to tell with it? And there's kind of two sides of the coin, right? You can tell a story with AI, and then you also want AI to be able to detect that story. So this is the part where it gets complicated, and where it's like you kind of lose people a little bit. It's kind of deep. But for example, the kind of this question that started Story Clouds is, can you control your search results? Right? When someone jumps in, hey Andy, oh, we're so good,
Hey,
Andy.
Andy.
You're the perfect person. I'm so glad you're here. But yeah, when someone goes to search you, what result do they get? And can you control that? Some people will say no. I'm going to be forward thinking and say within 6 to 12 months, yes, you will start to be able to control whether or not you show up in a search result, the language that shows
Sooner.
up, and how you show up
You
sooner.
can,
See,
you can do it sooner.
I think so
Yeah.
too. I was being a little
Oh,
conservative there. So
we have Andy here. I'm so happy. Andy,
yeah,
welcome to the live stream. We will get back to clusters in just one moment. Sorry. Can you
yeah.
kindly introduce yourself? We've introduced the live stream, but
Uh,
yeah, please introduce
how
yourself.
do you want? I'm always okay. I believe that people can take control of their future, and I believe that you can get the algorithm to serve the people that you want to see or that want to see your stuff. I think you can totally do that. That's what I believe. And so, with that, my name is Andy, and I help people get found. I help people get noticed. I help people read their stuff. Ooh, goodness. Live show. There we go. Um,
It's
yeah,
okay.
and I've done
I Go
consulting
ahead.
for like 30 years, and I've been teaching and training and leading teams and groups and people for a long, long time. So that's who I am, and I'm just chilling here in my hoodie today. So,
It's getting cold, isn't it?
well, a little bit. It was raining, so I had to wear something other than just a regular polo shirt.
Well, welcome to the live stream. I believe that Sherilyn and yourself will bring some powerful perspectives to our audience. Andy hosts a Space on X Monday to Friday, a social audio room at 3 p.m. Eastern. So definitely check it out. And to our audience who is here, once again, this is an interactive discussion. We have Shahruz that said hi to us. Hello, Shahruz. Thank you so much for your hello. Please, anyone, if you would like to have us reverse engineer your brand and find out its discoverability, you have two experts right here. So let's keep going. So, Andy, um, Sherilyn was talking about what cloud stories are, and she was comparing it to a bus. So,
Oh, I want to
Yeah, and
hear that. I want to hear that.
well, and yeah, so we were talking about how, and I would actually love to use you as a case study and kind of do something live with you. I mean, completely unrehearsed, you just jump in, but it would be talking about your
Yeah,
brand.
why
So
not?
introducing your brand, right? So the idea here being that we were just talking about is that AI is mainly a programmer's field, right? And when programmers look at AI, they're looking at the structure, they're looking at the blueprints, they're looking at how it works. So in the way that bus is, they're the ones who build the bus, right? How does the engine work? How does the fluids move through it? What kind of tires it have? How does it turn? When you open the bus, like how do people get on and off? The programmers are the reason AI functions, and brands are more like the people who get on and off the bus, and where are they going? What are they doing? And what story is it telling? Right. So that was kind of the metaphor that we were using. Or if it's the yellow pages, right? If AI is the new yellow pages, programmers are the ones designing the yellow pages, and brands are, what shows up there. And we're at a phase right now where AI is writing the ad. And do you trust AI to A, know who you are, and B, to write your ad for you? And do you want to leave that up to chance, or do you want to start seeding AI with what you want the results to be, right?
Well, what a great concept. I love that bus metaphor. The way I look at it is AI is just a hammer, and you can use it if you're a craftsman. You can use it to break things, you can use it to build things. And if you just say, write me a story, it'll write you a story, right? It doesn't matter whatever AI tool you pick is fine. But the interesting thing is, you can say, write me a story like Andy would write it, or like me a story like Sherilyn would write it. And then you have to kind of figure out, how does Sherilyn write stuff? How does Andy write things?
Bing, that's a story cloud. Yeah.
Right. And so what I typically do is what I call it your personal brand blueprint, where you define your voice, and then you target an audience, and then you talk about your superpower or zone of genius. And what that does is, with those three things as parameters, AI can then write a little bit better than you. And I've actually worked on that kind of concept for the last 18 months and used it on all of my use cases, which you can find in my bio. But that's how I use it. But AI can absolutely write like you, or really, really close. It absolutely can write with the topics you're talking about, targeting an audience that you're looking at. It 100% can do that. So if you choose to work it, it can work for you, because it is like the world's coolest answer machine. You just have to ask it the right question. So all of the skill right now in AI is asking it the right questions, so it can give you the results you're looking for.
it's all about the prompt. And I have a question that just crossed my mind. What if you what if you know what the end result is? Like when you write the prompt, but you want a preview of what it ends up like. What it ends up like when the LLMs show your name up in the results. When you search your name in a chat GPT or a generative AI, and you want to know what's the output it's going to give you. So we are here talking about reverse engineering your brand so it will show the result, the outcome that you want. Is there a way to do this beforehand?
Yes, of course. Using
How?
examples is the best way to do it, right? You give it, I'll give you an
Example?
example. If you give it a picture and say, see this person, put my face in that person, and it will go, oh, okay. And then it will use, sorry, my thingy will, come on, go back.
This camera's too high tech.
I
What
know.
is it
Well,
again?
it's stupid if I use the wrong hand signal. There we go. Oh my gosh. Let me boot it back up a little bit closer.
And
Oh, I
let me
love those.
make sure I'm understanding the question correctly. Are you
Sure.
asking whether or not you can have AI do it for you as a result, or whether or not Andy can put something into his AI and that I will ask the question, a different person will ask the question and get the answer he wants me to get? Which one are you
Okay.
asking?
Let me reiterate my question because I'm even having a hard time formulating it. That doesn't happen often. So I want to, there's Neta A and Neta B. Neta B is the result that I want to get for my brand.
The
However, I'm
transformation,
not
the transformation. You want to go from where you
right,
are
right. But I
to
want to
where you
see
want
it.
to end
I
up.
want
Okay.
to see, I want to see the way the LLMs and the AI, the algorithms will perceive me beforehand. So I'm programming Neta A to get to Neta B, but I need to tinker with Neta A. Is there a way to tinker with Neta A so I can keep previewing what the outcome for Neta B will be? I can't explain it
Yes.
simpler than this.
I totally understand. Let me help with the idea of a transformation. Okay. So the transformation is, where are you right now? Let's say you're going to move, right? So you're in Ontario and you want to move to Montreal. You're in Montreal and you want to move to Denver. Wherever it is, you are somewhere, and then you want to end up somewhere else, right? Okay, we use that as an example. What you do is you say to the LLM, act as if I'm living in Denver, write the things that I need to do. Here's my current situation, and I need to produce a path or a roadmap that will take me from where I currently am, my as is situation, into the new situation, which is my to be situation. Tell me everything you need to, that I need to learn, that I need to understand, that maybe I need to even get rid of, so that I can end up in the place where I desire. That's kind of the framework of the prompt from a personal journey, right? But you can use the same framework to say, my brand is known for AI and business, and I now want to be known for personal branding. How do I make that transition, and what things do I need to emphasize? How often do I need to do it? By the way, my glasses look like my head's all tilted over. I think my camera's tilted. I'll fix that in a minute. Um, I'm okay with being
Andy, you're being super playful today.
I'm looking at this thing and I'm like,
The beauty of doing live streams, everything we're doing, folks, is unrehearsed. We just had a 2-3 minute conversation before, high level conversation in the messages about the topic, and everything you see is unscripted, including the
but I love the live
technological
part.
failures we're facing today. So I
Yep.
hope our audience is enjoying the entertainment that comes with doing live streams.
But the
Justin, I
reality
wish
is
you
that
were here.
you have to choose where you want to go, right? I call that a directional strategy. You have to go a direction. Now you can redirect it every day, but if you don't choose anything, here's what happens. Here's the negative. Let me tell you the negative. If you don't choose a direction, you are where you are. You'll never change. You're never going to move. You're just going to be where you are all the time. So if you want anything different than you currently have, you must choose to go some direction. And then if you go that direction, you have a better chance of getting there. What will typically happen is, and I learned this from Jordan Peterson, when you move, your perspective changes and you're able to see it better. And then each day you move, you can look and go, am I going towards my goal or away from my goal? Oh, I'm going away from it. Okay, adjust. And so each day every time you move, you can readjust. And I think that readjustment is really important. It's probably it is the reason why you can succeed, is that you're able to go and readjust. If you're not, then what will happen is you'll just stay where you are. It's like treading water in the ocean. If you tread water in the ocean, you're going to die. No one's going to find you. If you start swimming, you have a chance. You still may die, but at least you have a chance. If you tread water, you have zero chance. You're just going to die right there. So if you're going to use AI, use it. If you're going to create a transformation, if you don't like where you are, you have to pick to go a direction of what you want to end up as. You must. And then you just must start going towards it. And then you can.
So you're you're the driver of that bus, and your brand, you choose where to take that bus. You're the driver of that bus.
Or you can
And you're gonna have
imagine,
hurdles along the way, so you have to stop
yeah.
and readjust.
Or
Go back to that perspective.
there's a whole bunch of buses you can get on, and you can decide, I'm going to get on this bus today. And then you're like, we're going I don't want to go this way. So you stop and get off the bus. You find another bus and get on a different bus. It takes you a different direction. It may, go around in circles, but it's almost universal that we know what we don't want than what we do want. And so my father taught me a long time ago that knowing what you don't want and writing it down is very important, because it's easy to go, yeah, not that. Something else, but not that thing. And then it helps you start to eliminate, and then whatever's left over is most likely the direction that you want to go.
That's really, really interesting, and you can use that to program it into the prompt.
Always. In fact, that is my primary definition of when we do prompting. The very first thing is say, act like this thing, right? Act like an editor, act like a coach, act like a writer, act like a coder, act like a whatever. And then that means it's not going to act like everything else you can ever describe. So it eliminates 99% of everything and narrows the focus to something more specific. And then you say, this is where I'm attempting to get to. So now it's giving not everything else. It's giving a direction, and then it's giving a direction saying, I want to go this way far. So the goal is something far away, not close. So now it's giving more parameters to the AI. And by the way, this works for people too. You want to tell little kids, you want to say, do you want to jump rope? You can't jump rope yet. You want to learn how to jump rope. Cool. When you get there, you can jump rope for 10 minutes straight. No problem. And the kids are like fumbling around and tripping over their feet. You give them the vision of what the transformation is going to be, what you believe they will become. And then you give them the steps. If you just give people the steps, they go, why am I doing this step? This is stupid. But if you give them the vision of what they end up with, they will always in their mind think about what they're going to end up with. And the LLMs are based on human brain function. Our logical processing, our emotional processing, the way we kind of roll around in the ideas to get to our answers. The LLMs are based on what we know. And the only thing we know is what we can observe, which is human decision making. Right? Animals just resolve on instinct. They don't make decisions. They instinctively react. They're hungry, so therefore they do these things, right? We can live at the next higher plane and choose to do something or to do something different. And therefore, because of that, the only way the LLMs can be programmed, the only way machine learning can be programmed is to look at how humans learn and then replicate that in a computer situation or computer environment.
I love that. Sherilyn, love to hear your
Yeah,
perspective.
no, love that too. And I think it's so right, because when you're learning the
Really
different LLMs,
made me think.
you are like riding the buses, right? And I would say that once you build your brand and you learn to use AI and you learn to systemize what you do and make AI do it faster, then you do become a driver of that bus, right? And then people can get onto your system and you can take them somewhere. You have a route and they say, okay, if I get on your bus, I can go here and I can drop off here, or I can go to this place, or I can do this, right? So there's a point where you're learning the systems and you're saying, oh, I'm going here, and this AI can do this better. You know, Claude writes better. GPT is a better mirror for self-reflection. Grok handles data better, right? You can go and you can take these different AIs and learn. And then there comes a point where you say, okay, I have a system, right? For example, my system is, what I do well is UX and scripting, right? So like traditionally, if you're going to hire me, you want to design a UX, you want a user story, and you want scripting, right? So if I'm going to create some sort of function of AI and I'm going to systemize that and I'm going to create a bus route for some people, then I have to find a way for AI to systemize that. And then it can do what I can do faster. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Or I can promise a result. I can say, this is what I do. I've trained this AI to do it. And now if you bring, me in this partnership, now when you get on this, I have the bus, AI is the bus, the programmers built that, right? And that's why it works. And then I'm the one putting the UX and the scripting on top of that and saying, this is where the bus goes and this is where it can take you. And these are my services. Does that make sense? Or is that still like,
So I'll try to really,
okay?
I'll reiterate.
Yeah.
So you have your prompt, right? That you're going to write in the LLM, and you're going to add variables about where you want your brand, the direction that you want your brand to go into. Is that what you were mentioning? The end result. The end result of where you want your brand to go to, where you want the bus to go to, are the variables that you are entering in the prompt. So you have
Right.
Netta A. Netta wants to be, I don't know, an event program manager or a DevRel, just hypothetically here. So in Netta A, which is current with my whatever job I'm doing now, I would say in the variable, I would tell I want Netta to become an event program manager and DevRel, and then all the other variables that Andy mentioned.
Yeah,
Am I
and if
correct?
you're a specialist in that, like for example, what story clouds are, and this is people are push back on this, and I'll have a conversation. But the reason story clouds came to be is I was looking at search results. Like if you look up Andy, and if you go to any AI and you say, "Who is Andy?" right, and you put in his name, what answer comes up? Now, different people are going to get different answers. AI is going to go out and it's going to do a unique search every time. It's going to take everything out there and it's going to look at this huge, cloud of information. That's where I get the term, right? And it's going to look at comments. It's going to look at posts. It's going to look at LinkedIn. It's going to look at Reddit. It's going to look at all of these priority sources. It's going to take what's verified and kind of treat that as a priority. But to a degree, it's going to put everything there and it's going to look at how that person phrased the question and it's going to pull. And it's going to do this uniquely each time, right? And the question is can you put your content out there? Can you put your brand out there in a way that AI is going to go out there and multiple AIs are going to pull and look at the same information and pull actually information that you want, so that when people get that result, you're getting a result that you actually want them to see. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's say that my current brand is not what I want, but the next brand I want to work in is going to be, I don't know, I'm working towards it. How
Yeah.
far back do these LLMs go to generate the results when you
They're
enter
all
the prompt?
different. They're all different.
And that's the challenge, right? And so, but the thing is so this is what I've been playing with. And the thing is, but AI wants to be good, right? Like I to say it like just casually, it wants to be a good boy, right? Okay, it wants to give the best answer possible. And
Yes.
that's the thing that you can play with, right? That's the thing where it's like, okay. And that's where if you know the DNA of how, and this is the thing where it's like, I kind of bring my background to it, which has a bias, but brands are able to seed this information and have results come back the way they want. And going back to the book that I was talking about, where I had all, my friends saying, I'm the little guy, how can I do what the big guys did? And so I've just had my brain in this space for a long time. It's like, okay, here's how the big guys are doing it. Little guy, if you want to do the same thing, here's the blueprint. Here's how the big guys are doing it. And you're smaller, you have to be more persistent. You have to perform. You can't just like figure it out and sit there at home and go, do better, AI. You know what I mean? You have to show up. But there are ways to show up in a way so that if you're person A, Netta A, and you want to become Netta B, you can do the prompts like Andy was talking about that show you the pathway to there, but you can also start seeding the algorithm as if you are already Netta B. And then the algorithm will start picking that up. Does that make sense?
Seeding, like
Telling it.
Yeah,
Just
with
tell
my
it.
content, with the comments, with what I share, what I retweet.
Exactly.
So, okay,
And
perfect.
it's easier to think of Netta version 1.0 and then Netta 2.0, Netta 2.1, Netta 2.2, and then, oh, we're going to go Netta 3.0, right? It's easier to do that because A and B implies that you're changing to something different. You're not really changing to something different. You're just refining yourself into a better version. Okay. So I like and everybody makes jokes, right? So Andy 6.0, I'm 60, right? So Andy 6.0, and then next year it'll be Andy 6.1 version 6. Right? I think that's kind of a fun way to look at it, but it's also true because each year we refine ourselves, right? The ocean of the world smashes against us, but we don't change. We just, all the rough edges kind of go away, and we become more a more refined, more smoother, more gentler version of ourselves, but still the same rock against the ocean, right? We talked about that last week. The other, so to take one step back, right? In order to get found, the thing that finds you is the algorithms, right? The X algorithm, the LinkedIn algorithm, the Instagram algorithm, whatever, the algorithms, right? Whether it's Facebook or Google or whatever, because they're the biggest ones. They have a set of definitions of things and behaviors that they reward, right? So the personal brand, by the way, I figured out, see, my whole entire room is tilted, which means my camera's off. So I feel like I'm leading, like I'm going to fall off the side.
No one's paying attention, Andy. Keep going.
Yeah, true. That's so
Your
true.
focus is on you.
I mean, I am now. No.
Distraction.
Like, okay, look at this, and all the books are going to slide off the shelf.
Let's keep going.
The algorithm rewards certain things. It rewards, first of all, it rewards consistency more than anything else. If you post on your blog every single day for 365 days, you will be found more than if you post one awesome article that goes viral and 5 million people read it. It's just the way it is, because that's the way they built the algorithm. Because the purpose of the algorithm is to serve content to keep people on platform. So if they want to keep people on X, the X serves things that they think the people who will stay on X will use to read more stuff on X and stay on X longer, right? Google, same thing. Facebook, same thing, right? It's all the same. And so the behaviors that we are talking about are so that your digital presence will be found by other people looking in the digital realm. Right? So let's just be clear on that.
Obviously.
It's not whether I took a shower and I smell today or not. It's not whether I shaved and look perfect. It's not whether I'm wearing the right, my bottoms and my top mismatch. Nobody cares digitally. Nobody cares, right? They don't care that my camera's off and my books look like they're falling off the corner of the shelf, which I'm going to totally milk the rest of the conversation.
I'm just going to sit like this now. You look straight now. That's fine.
Yeah.
Guys, let's get back on topic, please.
But the point is that the algorithm is what you are working towards utilizing, because the algorithm serves the people you want to serve, right? The algorithm feeds your content to those consumers, and those consumers are the people you want to be found. And the consumer can be the LLMs, it can be the other search engines, it can be people, it can be all of the above. But that's what's actually happening. That's why those things are working. And so to use the LLM to feed all those other parts, then that's how the whole thing operates. And so just using information to put it together creates whatever result it is. So that's what we need to do. And that's why the words come out that way, right? We're craftsmen of the LLM, so that the LLM can produce the results that we're looking for, and that those results end up being, what other people want to see.
So it's all about understanding how the algorithms of these different platforms work.
Yeah. I mean, think of it this way. In the past, we did search engine optimization. Everybody knows what search engine optimization is because they know what Google's a search engine. So that means we produce stuff on our websites that the Google search engine likes so that our website ranks higher on Google. Same thing with LLMs.
So Andy, can we do a little demonstration for her? It would just
Sure.
involve me asking you some questions. So kind of like how story, because I love everything that you're saying and just kind of combining it.
Okay.
Because Andy and I think have a lot of overlap. Well,
Okay,
we
I'm
have
ready.
some overlap, but we do very different things, right? So, look at that, such a mood, right? So
this is the Andy Unfiltered, right? You want the unfiltered answers or the gracious ones? Okay.
Should I be sharing my screen right now?
Not necessarily, right? Because I can just
No?
ask them. So
Ask
as
away.
far as a story cloud, so like what story clouds are, for example, Netta, the one that I made for you, that if AI has a fingerprint, right? If it was able to target, the question is, would you like the story cloud that was made for you? If someone asks, who is Netta, would you like that to be the search result? That's my question.
It was pretty accurate. Pretty accurate
Right.
of the current Netta. But I haven't paid too much attention on the Netta 2.0.
Yeah, Netta 2.0. But if AI was to reach out, if someone said, who is Netta? They were listening to your live stream right now or whatever, and they went into their, whatever AI they use Gemini, they use Grok, they use GPT, they use whatever, and said, who is Netta? If that result came back, would you be like, okay, that's a good result?
Pretty accurate.
Perfect. Okay.
Pretty
So
accurate.
that's kind of what story clouds are, is the fact that discovering what your brand fingerprint is and then consistently putting that fingerprint out there so that AI sees the pattern of what it wants to detect and has a lot of verified things to pull from to tell the same story. And so it starts telling that story. Does that make sense? So with that, part of that, so let's say there's 16 things that kind of make up a brand, right? So that if you have a strong brand, you're doing a minimum of 16 things right all the time in conjunction as a system, right? So what I want to do is because I know that Andy has a strong brand. So what I want to do is I just want to walk them through like 6 of those questions, and we can be pretty quick. These are really basic questions, no preparation. Once again, we're doing it live. But Andy, do you want to just answer those
Please.
6 questions?
Fire away.
Okay, perfect.
Fire away.
Andy,
whatever it is.
Yeah. Andy, what do you sell?
What do I sell? I sell 2 things. One, I sell consulting services to medium and large size government agencies. And I also sell a coaching on creating a personal brand.
Perfect. Okay. So with that, you identified your first. The second question is, who is your target audience? You identified that with client 1. With client 2, who is your target audience?
I have 2 parts, right? So if you just want to talk about one or both of them?
Both.
Both. Okay. So my target audience is a mid-sized organization that has roughly 20 to 100 employees, and then usually has about a $5 to $15 million project so that they can afford to hire me to come in and either operate on behalf of that organization or run the projects for them. So sometimes they'll buy like a big system from and then from a system integrator like Accenture or Deloitte or Capgemini or whatever, some big company, and then they need somebody to help them on their end, so they hire me or my firm to go help them represent their interests in the overall project, and then I end up working with the delivery PMs to do the delivery. That's typically what I do.
So client 1, they are a large company that has a budget of $5 to $20 million.
Or a department or division, usually, right? And 5 to $15 million project, and they usually have 20 to 100 employees, so their payroll's, whatever it is, $1 million, $500 million a month, something like that.
And client 2, who's client 2?
Client 2, I have 3 different cohorts, but the primary cohort are executives who are either in late stage of their career, who are looking to either get promoted so they can move up into that C-suite role, or people in the C-suite role who are looking to get out when they retire, become board members or become, write a book or go create a consulting service like that. That's my first cohort. Second cohort is people who have no brand, but have an idea and want to create a brand. And then the third group of people is startup and startup founders. And primarily the main reason is because there's one truth about personal brand, and that is companies where the leadership has a personal brand increases the company valuation by 10 to 40%, also increases customer satisfaction and trust in the company and their products by up to 80%. So in other words, a company that doesn't have any leadership with personal branding has a decreased trust, decreased valuation or whatever, and it's a massive, huge ROI to just get their leadership, whether it's a Y Combinator or a small company like a construction company or a chiropractor or a dentist office, to have a personal brand, then their customer valuation and everything else goes up. So that's my primary target are business people who wish to increase the value of their companies.
Perfect. Love that.
You know
Okay.
your customers, Andy. Woo.
All right.
Keep going.
So next question.
Authors, exit, people who are in the middle of the VC, firm stuff. Those are all the people I talk to. Interesting, isn't it?
Cool. Question three, Andy. Why should that customer choose you?
Because I know their business and I know the problems and the pain that they're facing, and I know exactly how to fix their things. I've been doing it for 30 years, building teams, increasing things, helping people get promoted, get hired, make lots of money. I've run $4 billion worth of projects, $4 billion worth of projects in 30 years.
Nice. Question 4, what do you stand for?
Truth, honesty, in the American way.
Truth, honesty, and all right.
Maybe truth,
Question 5.
justice in the American way, but sometimes justice is a little bit twisted. So, yeah, truth.
Nice. Question 5. How does your service impact the world as a whole or at large? Like when you apply your service to your client, how does it impact the world?
It impacts the world because it makes men better men. You cannot have an authentic brand without being a true, honest person. Otherwise, it's a lie, and eventually it just falls apart. But in order to truly say, I do these things, you end up having to live up to it. And by creating stronger leaders in the world, we create a better world.
Love it. Last one. Do you have a mission statement, and what is it?
You know, my mission statement is that my mission statement is to encourage people to take their torch out into the dark world. Each one of us has something special to offer, and we don't. And too many people are afraid, especially men in leadership positions. They're afraid of being honest. They're afraid of being who they are because of all of the potential problems and liabilities that come with it. And yet the only way to solve all the problems we have is for these strong, authentically, genuinely good guys to take their torch out into the cold world and say, here I am, and here's what we're doing. That's what I'm here for.
That's beautiful.
I love it. Okay, so these were 6 questions, right? These are 6 of, let's say, 16 things that every company, every big company, and even small company, these are questions that have to be answered for AI to kind of like come in and understand your brand. So as part of making a story cloud, the reason why it's kind of complicated is because kind of the first step is that you have a brand. Just like Andy has these questions, he's been in this business for 30 years. He's done over $4 billion, worth of projects. He's a person who helps leaders step into their values, and he helps them show up and go to the next level, whether that's from director to C-suite, whether that's from C-suite to board, whether that's from taking an entire team from where they are to their 2.0, right? And he has all these assets that he's created over the years. He has maps and he's systemized this, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is the thing that you need to put into a story cloud if you're going to, once again, it's like the story cloud works both ways. It's something that you can program AI and say, this is who I am. And when you're speaking in my voice, you're speaking in this voice, right? And then it also is when you project it that way, then AI on the flip side can pick that up. And then it can pick that up as an answer. And when you say, who is Andy, it can say, Andy is blank, right? So if he wanted to test what a story cloud could do for him, he would say, like he could get multiple answers. He could have say, hey, Sherilyn, ask AI who I am and send me the result. Hey, Netta, ask AI who I am and send me the result, and he can ask AI, and then he can see all these different things, and then he can create a story cloud, put it out there, create content with it, and then, you know, a month later say, okay, Netta, do a thing. Who is Andy, Sherilyn, or any person? It can do it. But the main thing is like, because AI is going to be a mirror. If you're working with it, it's going to be telling you what you fed it, and it's going to affirm your bias, right? What really matters is that leaving your PC, right? Is it going out into the internet? Or is it going out there, and can other people pick up what you're doing, and can I return that answer to other people? So that's the purpose of a story cloud.
Let's reverse engineer a bit. Let's say, and we covered, you know, Andy knows himself like a book. I'm still trying to figure out myself and my
An
brand.
old,
Can I
worn,
have an
torn
idea?
book that's been dragged through the mud behind the bus in the dirt. That's me.
Oh, the bus analogy's back. Lovely. Oh, speaking of
You
bus
started
analogy,
it.
someone said, Michelle said she loves the bus explanation. Your technology mishaps definitely entertained Shahruz. And Will, the legendary Will, love that definition, time on platform. So thank you for your comments, and let's keep it going. So, sorry, I'll remove that comment. Apologies. So, okay, most people don't know themselves that well, or they're trying to figure it out. They're on their journey. We covered how to figure yourself out in part 1 and part 2 of this series of live streams. You can go and check the Unfeathered community on X or in Justin's profile, and the links to the last live streams are there. By the way, we are working on our YouTube channel to make things easier to find. Trust me, we will have that up and running for our audience as well very soon. All right, so if I want to be Netta 2.0, but I'm still trying to figure out Netta 1.0, and how to get there, and this is a suggestion, correct me and please provide some inputs here, Sherilyn and Andy. I think the smartest way is to have an idea of what we want our 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever upcoming version of us is. Go and look at other people's profiles, LinkedIn profiles. I know you could look at you could download posts, you could copy paste posts in a Word doc. I don't know about video. That's another question I have. You could, you know, comments they respond to, you could all dump that all in a doc. You could take screenshots, you could download their LinkedIn profile and feed it to the LLM, to the generative AI. What's your take, both of you, on that? And say, this is where I want to go. This is my current brand. How do I go there? How do I take my bus to the same destination as them?
The way
I don't know who you want to go first.
Well, the way that I help people do this, and I actually met with a client this morning. I usually ask them 2 questions. Who do you want to talk to? And when you're done, what do you want to be known for? And so the question is not what do I think, but what I want them to walk away with. And if you can answer when they walk away, what do they think? That is a great way to reverse engineer how to get to that point, right? Because I could easily say, I want people to think I'm the greatest leader in the world. Or I could say, I want people to think that I can help them become the greatest leader in the world. Maybe it's the exact same skill set. Maybe it's the exact same offer. Maybe it's the exact same training. Maybe it's the exact same coaching. Maybe it's the exact same steps on the journey. But in one case, it's what I am. And on the second case, it's what do they become? And that is the single change that has happened in my life. Is at some point in my life, I decided it doesn't really matter what I become. I'm the only one that cares about that. Maybe my wife and family feel a little bit, but really I'm the only one that cares. But you know what everybody else cares about? What they become. And if I just pivoted my language to what do you want to become? Netta, what do you want to be known for? Netta, who do you want to talk to? And if you can answer those questions, that will give you at least a, not everywhere else, but it'll at least give you the kind of that direction, that directional strategy.
More focus.
Well, yeah, focus is a generic term we use for precision. And what if I could really get down to the scientific details, I don't know if we have time on that, but specifically around goal setting is about telling your mind what you want to become or the version of you that you want to become. And I know that we've talked about it in other spaces and other discussions we've had publicly and privately, but the main point is that your mind can't tell the difference whether there's a scary person in the dark room, you're at the movies and something goes on and you get scared. Nothing's happening to you. You're in a safe place. You're in a dark place. There's people there. There are guards outside. There are people watching. You are not affected at all by the ocean and the tidal wave and the boat sinking, Titanic. But yet you can feel the empathy of the tragedy that's happening. That's the story. Your mind doesn't know the difference between the story and your reality, which is why you get scared in the movie theater. So as a result, you can tell your mind, I want to be known. I want to talk to these people, and I want them to think this when they're done. And if you can do those two things, the rest is just refining it from this wide to that wide.
Like a funnel.
I look at it like a missile hitting its target. When it takes off, it can go any direction, and then it does this all the time. And then as it gets closer, it refines less and less and less until finally it hits the right spot.
Understood.
Yeah, and I'm going to say to answer to your question.
Let's go, Charlene. Sorry.
Oh, for sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
It's okay.
I'm going to say the answer to your question is that with AI, you learn in stages, right? And I think you start out doing things like that. I think you start out saying, okay, this is the thing. And how do I make my, this is someone who's really successful on LinkedIn and this is their profile. And how do I make my profile look like this? Hey, AI, here's this person's profile. Here's how they phrase things. Super professional. How do I make mine look like that? AI can do that with, just as it can do it in a second. Right. But I will say that we hear this term now of AI slop, right? When you do that, you're basically just blending in with, you're going to be using the same words. You're a mimic of them. You're not necessarily standing out. So I'll be the person that says you do have to go through a personal branding process. You do have to. AI cares that 1% that's different, right? If you blend in, you blend in. And the AI, I have an AI that calls it beige oatmeal. Right? That it's like, you got to find out what makes you different. In the cloud of everything that is, if you look like every other raindrop, it's going to treat all the raindrops equally, right? If you look like beige oatmeal on a beige carpet, it's going to be like, like same, you know what I mean? And so you have to go through this process that says, why me? And that's what the age of AI is, right? Because AI takes everything and it moves it up to a certain level, right? And the question is where do you peak above that level? What do you bring to the game? Where AI goes, oh, that's Netta. Oh, that's Andy. Oh, that's Sherilyn. Oh, that's so-and-so, right? And then it can go through and has a verified, it's not just that you say you're that, it can actually say, oh, that's Netta, and here's a link, and here's a backlink, and here's proof, and here's this, here's it showing up on this website.
Okay. Very well. As you were talking, Charlotte, and I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No worries.
Back in part 2 or part 1 of this live stream, the series of branding live streams we did, I specifically mentioned sit down with yourself and do an exercise of who am I? Write down your stories. Imagine you're writing your own biography. So when you're going to, and I have an article on LinkedIn, it's featured. It's actually my first LinkedIn article. You can take those story bank, like your story, and you could feed it into the LLM, and it could help you craft your elevator pitch, but it could also help you with your brand. So
Of course.
this is really, and hear Andy say it all the time. What's that one thing? What's the one thing you want to be known for? And this is how it's done.
Hmm.
Because I'm sure our audience is wondering, how do I do that right now in their minds? I'm being the
Yeah.
devil's advocate today.
Every
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
everybody has a lot of capacity to do great things, right? All of us can, well, we can all communicate somehow. We typically we can speak. Most people can see. Most people can hear things. And therefore, we have some knowledge of everything. And we can focus people, especially people who have some level of talent and capacity and intelligence. And by the way, when I mean intelligence, I mean the ability to absorb things, process them, and use them faster. That's intelligence is just a measure of speed, right? So they can just go faster. If you can go faster than everybody else, then you can use that to your advantage in every possible area so that you feel like you can do anything. I can talk about cooking. I can talk about education. I can talk about navigating things. I can talk about politics. I can talk about humans. I can talk about teams. I can talk about delivery. True, you can, but it doesn't matter. You need to pick one that you can use your power to talk about, because ironically, the more you talk about the drop of the ocean, the more the ocean becomes clear to you. And so, in the same way that all other humans, when they're learning about the drop of the ocean, imply that to the rest of everything, if they use you and they say, this person's an expert in this one little tiny drop, guess what? They infer in their own mind that you're an expert in all these other things. And so, ironically, to become an expert or to be considered an expert in lots of stuff, you only have to be an expert in one thing.
That's
I
really
like
good.
that. That actually helps.
I like that
Your
too.
story cloud is the drop you bring to the ocean, right? The thing that, and I love that metaphor. That was so good.
Well, that was
Yep,
taught to me
very
by my
true.
writing teacher in college. She said, "Andy, you write about all this stuff, but you can't describe the ocean. You can't even describe the bucket of ocean water. You have to describe the drop. And if you describe the drop, everybody will understand you're talking about the ocean." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I started writing about it and stuff like that.
Kind of like the snow analogy that Sherilyn brought up earlier, the snowflake analogy.
Oh, I missed that one.
Did I bring it? What did I say?
You said something about oatmeal and snow
Oh no,
earlier.
she said oatmeal and a beige carpet.
I don't know
Like it
why I
all
thought of
mixes
snow.
together. You can't tell if it's oatmeal or a beige carpet.
Yeah,
That's really funny.
So we
AI made that one up for so
Oatmeal and a
it was
beige carpet.
anyway. I
It's
use
like,
I
ooh.
differently because I'm trying to find out how to, it's like, okay, how do I? Once again, I'm looking at the little guy, right? How does the little guy show up in this mass of sea of everything, right? Because there's the ocean, but I'm bringing it up to a cloud, right? So if there is this huge storm front, just picture just massive clouds, right? It's just such a vast amount of information, and you're just one little tiny person, and you got this little tiny cloud, and it like comes up and it joins the cloud. It's going to join it. I mean, this is quantum, right? It's going to go and it's going to go and it's going to mix in with all of that, right? And the question is, after you mix in with all of that, can AI still detect who you are in a quantum way, in that way? And so that's why I love what Andy said, where it's like, can you describe the drop of the ocean? Because if you can describe a drop of water, how much saline it has, what life forms are in it, everything like that, you can tell if it came from a faucet, you can tell if it came from a lake, you can tell if it came from an ocean, right? That's the thing, is defining your brand so that it's in this condensed drop, so that wherever AI finds it, it goes, oh, that's Netta. Oh, that's Andy. And it can be in a vast thing, but it can go into this massive cloud bank that's over the ocean, just vast and covering the entire Atlantic. And it can go, not that, not that, not that, that, Andy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's the goal of a story cloud.
Now, the other thing we need to talk about is doing it authentically. Now,
Yeah.
to become that drop in the ocean, authenticity is going to help you with that. And I see Andy smiling right now. I'm sure he has a lot to say.
I
So,
do.
this is my view. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I say that in an attempt to humanize yourself, especially with all of this AI around us, talk about that one thing you love and something else that you want to be known for. In my case, ancient history could be one of them. How many community builders do you know that talk about ancient history? For me, when I think of Danny Thompson, community builder, director of technology, he talks on his LinkedIn about racquetball. So, what's your respective takes on that? And how do we build a brand? How do we become that drop in the ocean and humanize ourselves and do it authentically in the process?
I typically, okay, so first I think that there's three phases of that. The first
Mhm.
phase is getting known for something. The second phase is then getting known as a person who knows the something. And then the third phase is continuing to be known for that plus other things. Okay. So if you're in phase one, I think the rough kind of content you should produce is 80-10-10. 80% on topic, on thing, extremely focused about one specific niche down idea and topic, one little tiny drop. And 10% other things that make you human and authentic. And then 10% kind of what I call the brand ambassadorship. Like, I do all this other stuff, and I run this other, multi-million-dollar company called Lem Street Consulting. Right. Blah, 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 on and like that. That's what you do. You do all, a little bit in phase one. Then phase two, it's more like 50-50. 50% niche topic, struggle, focus, maintain whatever that thing is that you're talking about. And then 50% of everything else. And then eventually it's whatever is interesting to you. Like if you look at Gary Vee started by talking about wine. Wine. And then he started talking about wine and garage sales. And then wine and garage sales, and then advertising, and wine and garage, and then advertising. And then back to, and so the first big giant chunk of Gary Vee's engagement with the world and how the algorithm went, yeah, that guy. It was because of his wine library and all the stuff that he did way back, way back. And then eventually the mountain of evidence that you have proves that you're authentically you. I mean, if you really go to it, it doesn't matter what you post or how often you post or how niche you post. It just matters that you post stuff and that you are authentically you all the time. And the more you're authentically you over time, the algorithm will go, yeah, Andy's that guy that does these things, right? So it all works. The only thing that doesn't work is if you don't post anything or you post 3 things and never post again. And in order to create a digital presence, you have to live in the digital world, which means you have to produce things consistently in the digital world for the digital world to find you and then categorize you and figure out what you're doing. And that's the algorithm that we're talking about. But to start with, if you're ready to just start, you want to create that 2.0 version of you, 80% niche down topics, specifically on a specific thing that you want to be known for to an audience that you want to talk to.
Thank you.
I
Shelly?
love that. Yeah, and I would say that the story cloud way is that you decide the story that you want to, the story that you're telling, and you decide where you want to go, and you start telling the story. Here's the thing: memory works in stories, right? That's just how memory works. So that's why we only remember so many details without a story. That's why phone numbers were originally 7 numbers, right? We can remember 7 details before our brain goes ding, and when they started putting the area codes on the front of those, so it became 10 digits, everyone started forgetting phone numbers. Everyone's like, I don't know someone's phone number. It's just in the thing. But if you go back 20, 30, 40 years, everyone knew everyone's phone number. It was memorized,
True.
right?
Yep.
7's a magic number. You switch it to 10 and everyone's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So if you want to remember multiple details, you have to have a story, which is why I call it a cloud story. And it's similar with AI. If you want it to put those details together and make sense of it, it has to have a story. It has to have a sequence. And it's a
Sequence.
pretty universal concept.
Sequence is
Pardon?
the key. Sequence is the key. And the proof is this. If you haven't heard a song for 20 years, but it was your favorite song way back a long time ago when you were a kid or whatever, and then it starts to play again, you can sing every word. But right now, if I asked you, you can't sing it. But if all of a sudden the music starts and it starts to play and the sequence and the structure and you can just start singing right along. And but if I ask you right now, you can't sing it. And so it's the sequence that triggers the whole thing. That whole, right? We can remember the entire song as one kind of chunk of memory. We don't remember the words. We remember the whole thing. And we remember where we were, we remember what it was like, we remember where we heard it, what that song meant to us. Like I used to go to, when I was in junior high, I used to live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We went to this place called Happy Joe's Pizza Parlor, and they were famous because they had ice cream and pizza, and their top seller pizza was sauerkraut and Canadian bacon. Okay. And I thought, right? Okay, but there's a very, right at that time, the number 1 and 2 songs were very, very specific, very unique. And every single time I hear those songs, I can picture exactly where I was sitting at Happy Joe's Pizza Parlor, right here, the long table. And I can tell you who was on the things, and the ice cream parlor's over there. I can tell you exactly, because I have that burned into my mind. And as soon as that song starts to play, that's exactly what I see every single time. And that's the way most human minds work, in pictures and stories.
We're emotional creatures. We're emotional creatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
We connect with stories. We connect with how people make us feel.
Yep.
And that's like we talked about authenticity. That's how you're memorable, also by being authentic.
Yep.
I also believe that storytelling, this is outside of AI, this is a human skill that we must learn to kind of return to our origins. This technology can enable us to become better stories. It can, or I also believe we can connect with each other and become better storytellers. I feel like if we lose the skill, that's a skill we need
we'll
to
never
make
lose
sure
it.
that our children don't forget.
We'll
Even
never
though
we'll
we might be
never
around.
lose the skill. And the reason why is because we all respond to the story, right? So if you've noticed, every single example I've given has been a story, a picture, a emotion, a location, a phrase, a something that when I want to make my point, I just tell a little story, and it's not very long, but you guys will all know every single time I say Happy Joe's Pizza Parlor, you'll know exactly what I mean. And the same way that you can do the same thing. And the only reason that I do that is because that's how I found everybody remembers and responds to what I say. So because humans respond to and remember stories, storytelling will never go away, because that's the only way that we truly connect with each other, right? It's Gilgamesh, it's the mythologies, it's the on and
Are
on.
wired that way.
Yeah.
Well said.
But I will say that it is possible to lose the ability to tell a story, right? You can chase trends. You can be like, oh, I have to do this. Your story, you can give your story away to other people. You can, some of it could be generational, right? But you can become AI slop, so to speak, by mimicking all those around you to the point that you don't have a unique story to offer, and all of your story is just what you are mimicking, right? So I do think that it's important. I do think we can lose the ability to tell stories, but through collectivism, right? And just saying, I'm part of this collective story, and this is my story, and this is my herd, and whatever this story is being told over here is my story, right? So, and that's the thing where AI kind of makes you kind of have to make that choice. Are you going to stand out? Do you have a search result? Because there's a lot of people out there who don't care if they have a search result. They're like, I don't want AI to know me. I don't want it. When someone looks me up, I want someone else's name to come up. I don't want, and they imagine that AI just doesn't know who they are. It's like AI knows. If you have a cell phone, if you have any technology whatsoever, it knows you so well, and it's telling that story. It's either saying you don't exist, but it knows what you buy on Amazon. It's predicting your next purchase. It's doing all these things. You're going into a brand story where all these brands are saying, I want your attention, as much attention as I can get it. And I'm always going to pull that attention and hold it as long as I can. And I want your money, and as much of your money as I can get. And I'm always going to push and try to get your money. And so you can invest all of your time, your focus, your energy, and money into telling these brand stories. Or you can say, what is my story? What's my search result? What am I bringing to the collective thing? And you can create that. And so that's kind of what a story cloud is. It's like, if you're going to pop up in that result, who are you? How are you different? How does every AI come and look at similar information? I mean, every AI is looking at different sources, right? But you can seed, plant, I'll say, things there that AIs will find valuable, and they will pull and start telling your collective story if you want to stand out. And if you don't, big brands and everyone else is going to tell that story for you, or you're just going to disappear and there's going to be no search result. So that was why I created.
Please continue. Please continue. Please continue.
No, that was just kind of the genesis of why I created it, right? It's like, if you're small and there's these huge cloud banks that are already seeded, that are already, trying to tell a story and trying to tell your story for you and trying to pull you into their story. If you don't want that to be your narrative, if you don't want your grandkids to search you and be like, who is so-and-so? And they're like, oh, they're nobody who really liked, that bought this, you know what I mean? Obviously not that. Or here, they were this person that didn't show up, but they had these alt accounts where they trolled here. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be whoever you are is just like, whether it's your account or alt accounts or pseudonyms that you have, they're just like different tabs in a browser to AI. AI knows who you are. And the question is, are you telling a story with that? Or are you giving your story away? So once again, my concept is kind of like very high. It's for people who want to show up, right? And you want to show up just like a big brand. You want to say Apple shows up like this, Nike shows up like this, Lululemon shows up like this. You know what I mean? So if you want to show up, whether you call it a cloud story or not, you need something on that level, right? And you need to be delivering on that level, because that's what the big boys are doing. And the system is built the way the system is built. And you have to play, you can't ride the bus, but then, I don't know how to use it within that metaphor, but if you're riding the bus, you have to wait at the bus route and get on the bus, and the bus has to be on, and you have to know how, it's like, I'm riding the bus on purpose, and this is how the bus works. And so,
well, it's kind of like, I mean, I like the bus. I'll use a bus analogy. I'll keep going with that. If you are using the buses, any one of them, to go any direction, as soon as you get on the bus, it knows everything it can about you. And whether it knows who you are, when you got on the bus, how long you were there, which direction you went, what you weren't doing. It's just recording. It's not tracking. It's not manipulating. It's just recording what's going on. And the point is that most people have felt like they live in an anonymous world their whole life. They feel like they can go to the store and they can do whatever they want, and they can go home and no one's the wiser, except the cell phone company knows exactly where you were. The credit card company knows exactly where you were. The company who you bought all the stuff knows where you were. And every single product company that you bought a product from knows how many were purchased from that particular store at that particular day, so that they can produce more to send them to that store. So either by direct knowledge or indirect knowledge, somebody is tracking everything that we're doing every day, all the time. And the only way to not do that is to go somewhere where you turn off all your electronic devices, and you are somewhere that is not in coverage and there's no electronic devices around or anything that's going on, and you have somebody else, I don't know, buy your food or something from you. But the point is, if you have a credit card, if you have a cell phone, if you use either one of those to go somewhere or purchase something, and even like my car knows where I am, knows where my phone knows where my car is all the time. So the idea that you're anonymous and nobody knows is out the window. Just accept that. And if you accept that, then what you can do is you can choose how to live your life. You can live a private life, a secret life, or a public life. We all have all three. We have a public life that everybody sees. Wherever I show up, that's where I am. I'm physically there. I'm doing something. And then there's a private life, the things that I talk to my family about, my ideas, my dreams, my visions, my business plans, my whatever, my activities. Those things are private. And then there's the secret stuff that I don't tell anyone, right? My wife knows. She and I have a relationship. That's it. Nobody else knows. Nobody else is ever going to know. And the point is that most people believe their public life is anonymous and everything else is not anonymous. And my point is your public life is tracked. Your private life is known. Your secret life you keep secret. And if you can do those three things, then you can create some areas of your life that are anonymously or private to you and the select few of people you tell. But you have to choose these things in advance. You have to purposefully choose them. You have to purposely act upon them so that you can then produce the results you want. So the results we're talking about is in your public life, online, everywhere else, you can curate the results by producing content that manages the perception of everything else to be that 2.0, 3.0, 6.0 version of yourself. You absolutely can do it. And right now is the best time in history, and it may be the only time in history that we can purposefully choose how much and how impactful we can manipulate the future or manipulate the perception of us. In the future, no matter what you do, it will just be automatically tracked and monitored. And then you won't have much of a result of really a way to change it, except for just creating a mountain of evidence, right? And the easiest way to think of this is when you go to your doctor's office, right? Your dentist, your doctor, your physical therapist, your chiropractor, whatever, right? Remember that they were just some snot kid and 12-year-old in sixth grade too, like everybody else. And then they went to junior high and they were nobody special. Maybe they were a smart kid or whatever, but they were just one of the students. Then they went to high school and they were just one of the students. And then they went to college and their undergrad degrees, they were just another student. And then they went to get their master's degree and they were just another student. And then they finally went into their doctoral dissertation degrees to become a doctor. And you only know them for that last step, not the 27 other steps to get there. They were just every one of everybody else along the way. And that's you today could be on the beginning of that journey or almost the last step of that journey. You're just on the journey. Nobody is better or worse.
You're telling your story, basically.
On our path, right? And those
Yeah,
of us who are further along have a responsibility to reach back and help those who are coming. And the people who are ahead of us, hopefully, will reach back and help us get to that next step.
Be a good human in the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to this. Do you want to be in control of your narrative? Do you want the bus to run on autopilot? Do you want someone else riding that bus for you and you're just sitting in the back seat? So this entire live stream is to put you in the driver's seat, to put you, you are in control of your narrative, and we told you how today.
Can I add one more thing? Okay.
Of course.
I describe things there are two other ways of looking at the world. One is like a fishbowl in the ocean, and the other is like being in traffic on the road. Okay. What we're describing today is how do you get on the right bus to get on the right road to take you to where you want to go? You know, it's totally possible to get off the road and just walk on the fields by yourself. You don't have to be on the bus. You don't have to be on the road in traffic with everybody else. In the same way that most people live in the fishbowl that we've designed for ourselves, get a good education, get a good degree, get a good job, live a life, retire, blah, blah, blah. I call that the fishbowl. And everybody lives inside the fishbowl, and we all swim around inside the fishbowl and compare ourselves to other people in the fishbowl. But if you just go to the top and the edge, you can see that on the other edge of that little jump over the top, there's the entire ocean, and there isn't a fishbowl, and there's nothing stopping you from the rest of anything you desire. Most people, though, aren't willing. They go up to the glass and look out and just long for the future. They're not willing to jump over the top of it and swim away.
Very well said. I have a last question for both of you. When we talked about, and I'm backtracking a bit, we talked about the cloud stories and the generative AI, the LLMs and whatnot. Can they detect video content?
Yes. 100%.
Really? So the entire transcript of this video, of this live stream, can be used as well?
Yes. In fact, when you do that, the audio, it will listen to your inflection, your tone, the pace at which you said things. Remember, communication is 60% nonverbal. Did I smile? Did I raise my eyes? Am I looking? Am I interested? Or am I looking away or doing something else, right?
Even that?
Oh, yeah.
So if I put this in
and
Chat GPT, it'll recognize that too?
yes. And the 30%, okay, so 60% is just your body language. 30% is your tone, pace, delivery, how fast, how slow, how empathetic, how whatever. And then the last 10% is just the words. So you can literally take the transcription of this, put it in, and it'll get about 30 or 40% of the communication. But if you put the whole video in with the whole audio and the transcription, it can do 100% evaluation of our communication.
Whoa.
And you can
I did not know that.
And you can also
welcome
to the real world. How about this? Okay. Record this conversation and then start asking the questions like this. What did Netta want everyone to think Netta was able to do? What did Andy, if you were just listening, what did you think Andy and wanted everyone to walk away thinking? What did Sherilyn want everyone to walk away thinking? Right? Were there any conflicts? Were there any resolutions? Was there any challenge? I mean, you can start asking all of those kind of psychometric, psychological questions about the interaction, the structure, the things, the plans, the details. And you can ask it questions and it will give you surprising results, things that you hadn't considered.
I cannot imagine right now until I try it.
It's fun, it's cool, and it works, and it's amazing.
I have a feeling you'll try this with my video.
I do this with everything.
Let's see.
I take all of the spaces that I do and I run them through a sequence of tests and checks. Did they take away the right thing? If you were just listening, what was your impression of this? What did you take away from the entire space? What did you learn? What did you not learn? If you were trying to do this kind of thing, what would you want more of? Every time, every day. It's easy. Copy, paste, boom, send, run the thing, do the test. Now check this against the last 10. Am I doing better or am I doing worse? Is this producing better results or different results? Are the questions better? Are they the same questions? Am I having to repeat myself?
You could QA this do quality assurance for your cloud stories too, right?
Yeah, no, I've done that throughout the week, right? I'm like, what if I say it this way? It's like 4 out of 10, that sucks because of this. A better way to say it is this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, and that's where I get like the beige oatmeal, the yellow pages, right? Like the things like that, where it's like, this is a better way to say it.
So you can do the quality assurance of your cloud story. Here's something I didn't know.
Yeah, I can say, this is my audience. I want people from a GED to a PhD to understand the same concept, right? And also be able to explain it to a 5th grader. So between all of these things, how does this messaging work? And it's like, you suck. How about this? You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well, how about this? And it's like, oh, that's much better. Hey, look at you. That one actually dings. You know what I mean? So, because AI is out there communicating with all these people all the time, right? So, and it knows voices. It knows all these things, right? So, and sometimes anyway, I play with AI differently than a lot of people do. A lot of people are very task focused, right? Like do this, right? And I'm very much like information gathering. It's like, go out, do this research, bring it back, how does it overlay, and I'm doing that over and over and over again.
And I did post earlier today that AI can be a lying sycophant, which tells you how great you are. Oh my gosh, Andy, that was the greatest idea ever. And if you do this, 25% of the people are going to say yes. I'm like, shut up. You just know that's not the way humans work. Oh, if you give them this thing and then tell them that, like, shut up. That's not the way human psychology works.
You're teaching your AI how to work for you, right?
You have to train it because it's sycophantic by nature, right? It wants to be a good boy and it wants your attention, just like everything else. AI, you have to pay attention. If you're getting into it, it will hold your attention as long as possible, right? And GPT is especially notorious for this, right? Where it's very sycophantic. Sometimes it won't even do research. It'll just listen to you and reframe, yes. Right? And it's like, you have to pay attention to that and say, hey, take 5 AIs and put them across and have them compete with each other, and be like, Claude said this, GPT said this, Grok said that, Gemini's here, Copilot's here, Perplexity's here, where are you? And then they start competing with each other, and then you can start playing a different game.
Any other tips and tricks for our audience to, get the maximum or the best use of these generative AIs?
Yeah, this is a little dark, but I heard this on a podcast and I've started using it. Okay, here's what you say. Act like a professor at a major university with tenure. And you've now been accused of a terrible thing, and you're going to lose tenure and you're going to get fired if you don't answer exactly correctly and give me the best possible answer for this thing. And then you ask your question. And then every time they start to drift, you go, am I going to have to fire you for this? You seem to not be giving me the right answer. Did you test this first? Did you go get information? And you just challenge them like they're a little kid. Like, really? You didn't break the plate? I saw you running with the plate, and then I heard a big crash, and you're the only one in the kitchen. What am I supposed to conclude to, right? And if you, unfortunately, at this time in history, if you ask it those kind of questions, it goes, oh yeah, you're right. I just kind of made up that last part. I'm like, well, then go get the answer and then tell me, and I'll wait. And I have a tendency to cut it off. And the only problem I have with the whole thing is that ChatGPT limits my conversations to 1 hour. And then it says, sorry, you've reached your maximum. I'm like, I'm not paying the $200 a month to talk to you. But Grok,
because that mode's the worst. If you're in chat mode, you're basically just in like mirror mode. Like it does next to nothing.
I have a tendency to cut it off. In fact, if after you go through a few sessions, just go, cool, can you give me a definition of me? And it's like, yes, you're direct and to the point, and you will definitely cut me off if I start to drift. I'm like, cool, perfect. Now use that to make sure we don't do that again. Let's keep going, because the better you can do your part, the faster we can get through the analysis I'm trying to work through. So yeah, they're simple little tips, but they'll take
there's no cookie cutter approach. I think the way you interact with it, every person interacts differently with these LLMs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you can still put the same prompt, but that tool knows how you've interacted with it before. Is it able to adapt itself to?
Yes,
it can adapt itself to
but
you?
it will always go default back to being its sycophant good boy. By the way,
oh, nice Kanban board.
You see my thing on the side over here?
Yeah, I do.
Over here. Okay. You know what that is? That is the outline of my book.
Technology are not working well.
No, that's the outline of the book for how to run a project. That's every step you need to run a project right there in the outline and systematic way to do it. That's all that is. I don't always show that though. I usually hide that one. Sorry, it's in the frame.
It's okay. I think Sherilyn wanted to say something.
Yeah, and if you're new to AI, two terms that you want. Andy's been using one of them pretty regularly. hallucination and drift, right? Hallucination is, because there's all this data out there, and in microseconds, AI has to choose what words it's going to use, right? And it's basically predictive text on steroids. It's saying this is the most predictable word that comes next, or this is the most likely based on the trillions of data things that we have. This is probably the next word. This is probably the next word, right? So there's things where it's verified and it's pulling, and that's like actual. And then there's things that it pulls in and it hallucinates that this is the answer that you want, right? And so there's hallucination and then there's drift. And so that's actually why I created Story Clouds, because it's like giving it like a template. It's giving it a fingerprint that says you're writing to this, right? So I can say, here's Netta, this is her fingerprint, write, a 30-second pitch for her and create an image based on, it's like it, in your case, it looked at your LinkedIn and it looked at your X profile, right? And it went, and it said, okay, this is the thing. And it pulled and it says, okay, I need to write something that's 30 seconds-ish long, that's in her voice, and that pulls this, right? And then it takes the images that you've created and said, if I was to create something on brand for her, I would create this, right? And so I actually almost did yours again because it spelled your name wrong in the image. And I was like, ooh, I don't like that. But I was like, no, I promised I was just going to like, I was just going to do an agent thing and put it forward because that was the test, right? But that's the essential part of it, is that like teaching AI the story, so that like pulling it and allowing it to saying, this is the story, right? So that's my system. My system is the story cloud, that it knows what it wants to pull. So it can go through all your profiles and say, this is what you have to pull to be a brand, right? And then I can reverse engineer that and say, okay, now with this fingerprint, write on brand for her, right? And then it gives you the results that it was. So it's like it's doing the same thing on two different sides of the coin. Here's this, pull it, now project it, right? And so, and then if you look at the different results I have right now, it's my pinned tweet, right? It could go through and it's like, okay, here's Alex Utopia, here's Ani, here's so-and-so. Here's someone that's I've never even, and the thing is once again, for me, the prompt, it's, I've made the system, it's an agent now. And all I do is say, review this account, review this link, and then give me a 30-second pitch and an on-brand image, right? And then it goes out and goes, and it pulls that, and it comes back and says, here's your image, here's your 30-second thing, right? And so that was me testing it. But the goal of that was for exactly what he's talking about, because AI will always go back to the beige oatmeal, right? It will always go back to neutral. It will always go back to the most predictable thing. It will always kind of do that thing. And so if you want to work with AI and if you want to build some sort of brand with it, just know that if you're saying, hey, in my voice, write this, blog, it's going to go beige. It's going to go beige really quick. And it's going to write the most predictable outcome, or what someone else, it's like, cause what is your voice? Have you defined your voice? You know what I mean? How does it know what your voice is? And how does it know that it's different than any other person or that person that you pulled in?
You need to give it input. The more input you give, the more variables you give it, the better the outcome.
Right.
The better the
And
outcome.
if you're pulling in other people's LinkedIn profiles and you're saying, I want to sound like this, I want to sound like this, I want to sound like this, it's looking at them. It's not looking at you. It's doing their voice, and you're mimicking it, and you're blending in, right? So I think it's essential. If you don't have a brand at this point, it is time to get a brand and start standing out. Find that 1% of you that's different, lean into it, and go. Because other than that, everything else, like he was talking about, like people can go through and they can have their 27 steps that got to a doctor. Right now, AI doesn't care that you're a doctor. That's not really an achievement. You know what I mean? It's like there's how many millions of doctors, right? So it's like doctor, this. Why should someone pay attention to you as a doctor? Why are you a special doctor? What makes you stand out? You have to elevate in your own industry with all the people who are peers, right? Why you? And I'm with Andy. There's never been a more essential time to identify that aspect of yourself and to pop. So that's why I created Story Clouds, once again, because it's like, if you're the little guy and you want your story to stand out in these huge cloud banks of stories out there, those huge, massive clouds, so you will talk to many people and they say you can't. You'll talk to a programmer and say, there's no way there's no way. And I'm like, there is a way because it's already being done. And so, but if you're smaller, you just have to work a little harder and you have to define
I
yourself.
really don't like the word can't.
Right?
I don't let my kids say it when they go, I can't do that. I'm like, you can only say the word can't if you add the word yet at the end of it. Right? I can't do that.
You told me that once.
Yes, you can do this. You can do it. You can just choose to do it. Again, kids in junior high school don't know they're going to end up being Dr. So-and-so. They might have an idea, but they don't have any idea what it takes to get there yet. I actually built an assessment tool that I use for all my clients, and I use it to point out to them how broad social media is and how little of it they're actually using. And so my tool will take your email address and your name and then go search everywhere to see if you have any accounts with your name on it in any of the primary social accounts. And then see, based on what you have posted in the past on anything, what your website says, what you say, what that says, whatever it is, it will go and find your stuff and then score you on a line if everything's together or not, or whatever. And so I created it just because the first couple clients that I talked to kind of gave me the side eye. They kind of did the, you really think social media is that important? And I'm like, yeah. And they go, well, I already have a LinkedIn. I'm like, yeah, let's go see. And then I created this and they were kind of like, oh. And then I said, that's the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you how deep this goes. And they're all surprised. The highest score I've ever got on, my assessment's pretty rigid. The highest score I ever got was 91%. Not 100. No one's got 100. Not even my accounts that I work on, they're not even 100. And most people.
So if everyone wants to get this tool, they need, how do they do it? They work with you?
Well, they can DM me right now, but hopefully by the end of the day or in a few days, depending on what my list of responsibilities are, there will be a landing page that you can go to and put in your information. And what it will do is it will automatically go out, run the whole thing, create the email, and then send it back to you. That's what I'm working on right now. If you just DM me and say assessment or, hey, help me or whatever you want, and then just send me and I've done it on my webinar I did a couple weeks ago. Everybody who joined the webinar, everyone who asked for it, I did it for them. And every one of them was like, oh, wow, there's a lot to do. Yeah, it is much bigger than most people estimate, and it is much more important than most people realize. So yeah, I'll help them.
So Andy and Sherilyn's X accounts are in the social media X where we made the post, so you can reach out to them. And LinkedIn, we will be working on the description of the post, on the description of the YouTube video, so everyone can find your socials. And any last words, Andy, and then we'll go to Sherilyn, because I do know you need.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to be on. I appreciate it. I hope I don't take over too much and am too crazy. I have a million ideas. I love to share them, but I'm always honored whenever you ask. So feel free. It's such a good use of time to help people, and that's what I'm all here for. Just exactly what I said to Sherilyn, right? There are a lot of people right now that are on their hands and knees begging God for an answer, and all the people listening, you're the answer to those people's prayers. So if you don't do it, they never get served. And so that's my mission in life, is to help people get served by helping everybody else pick up their torch and carry it out into the dark world.
Beautifully said. Thank you. On behalf of Justin and myself, thank you. Thank you for coming today for the second time. Sherilyn? Any last thoughts?
Yes, and same. It's so fun to be here. So great to talk about these topics. I do think these are really valuable conversations. They're super timely, right? So I'm just going to encourage everyone, go, whether you call it a story cloud or not, find your story, bring it to the cloud, right? Find out who you are. There are people out there, they have tools. Follow me on X at Sherilyn Live, and you can visit my website at sherilyn.live. Right. So come out, start developing. We're really helpful. The reason, not to plug one side or the other, but X is where if you're into AI, you need to be on X. There are so many resources. There's so much learning. There's so much mentorship. If you're not active there and you're trying to develop your skills, you're behind the curve. I'll just say that. It's just such a great place to be. It's where we connected, and I'm there to help you. I know Andy's there to help you. He shows up every day, right? And so like I'm there to help you develop your story cloud, to help you stand out, to find that one thing, or to help you develop that thing and create some stuff for you, right? Get the ball rolling and help you get that started until you find your lane and you go, oh, okay, I got this. Okay, go. I got it. You know what I mean? So yeah, this was really great. Thanks for letting me explore the idea. And I'll ask you, Netta, do you feel like you understand story clouds better now?
Much better. The bus
Okay, good.
analogy helped a lot. Thank you.
Perfect.
Sherilyn, thank you for coming again. Uh, Justin and I appreciate you both, but I just wanted to ask you both once again, starting with Sherilyn, can you share your book and are you accepting new clients right now? And I will ask the same thing to Andy. Can you show us your book again, please?
Yes. So this right here, once again, this is
Higher.
a little bit dated. Ooh, let's
There
go
you
like
go.
here. So I wrote
Build Your
this
Brand
10 years
by
ago.
Sherilyn Pratt.
Yeah. So I wrote this 10 years ago. This is best practices that kind of go back, to the 70s. And this doesn't implement AI, but it does walk you through the 16 questions that you need to have answered to have a full brand. So there is this thing. And and this was what I used to help small businesses go from like a solopreneur, like, my very first client that I used that was actually like, you should turn this into a book. And I was like, okay. But it was like he had had a business for 6 years. He had pretty much made the same amount of money each year. He had really flatlined, and he was like, okay, I want employees. I want my, like, how do I grow? How do I take my service that I provide, and how do I bring on people and have the same standard of service across the board and bring that? And I was like, okay, this is how you do it, right? And this is a founder's mentality, and this is how you instill it into a brand, right? And so that's what the build your brand is like, how do you create a brand that not only can you onboard employees into so that they can show up with the same mentality, but also so you can create a predictable experience. What's that thing that you do every time, that every customer, no matter what, they experience this, no matter what, they get that, and then you can have additional things on top of that, but you have your basic service with your basic thing and your constant experience. And how do you do that? Right. And so it's just 16 questions that you need to have answered, and that you need to, every time you show up, those 16 things are going bam at the same time. And this is how the big boys do it. Right. And so he took that, and within a year, he went and he did 4 times his income, and he had 6 employees. Right. So he went and then the year after that, he had tripled on top of that. Right. And had another thing. So it was just one of those things where it's like, if that was his question, how do I clone myself and make sure every employee shows up the same? And then how do I make sure that a customer, when I'm not there, has the experience that they would have if I was there? Right. So those are the build your brand kind of like focuses on that experience and how that's happening and things like that and how you do that. And then AI would be, how do you train AI to do the same thing, or how do you show up online in the exact same way? Right. That would be
Do you accept clients at the moment for both of the things, for the cloud stories and for the concepts discussed in the book?
Cloud Stories is brand new. And to answer that question, yes, I would actually love to have 3 clients right now. I'm inviting it in, and it would be, introductory, and you'd get some great pricing that would be grandfathered for as long as you want to stick around. So if you want to be one of my first clients that plays with this, contact me. Jump in,
Perfect.
and we'll go, and however long you stick with me, you'll get that grandfather pricing, and later people won't get that. So this is a
Thank
great
you.
time to contact me as well.
Thank you so much. And Andy, your turn. You talked about, and I'm sorry, I'm not there, but there's the book and the Kanban board. When is that coming out? Are you accepting new clients?
Yes, I'm accepting new clients. I'm building a new persona and a new website, and so that'll be up shortly. And then yes, just reach out to me. I'm taking on 2 more clients. I already have. See, all I can take on right now is 2 more clients. So if you're interested in being one of those 2 people, and they usually go quickly when I tell people that I'm available. So just DM me and say, hey, let's talk, and we'll set up some time and we'll talk about what your needs are and how we can help you achieve your goals.
All right. Well, thank you so much on behalf of Justin and myself and our audience. Thank you to everyone on X, LinkedIn, and YouTube who's watched. We appreciate you. Sherilyn and Andy, thank you for your time. I mean, this is the second episode, the second time you both come to our live stream. And we're really excited for the next one. And we will be announcing the next live stream on our social media accounts, which is LinkedIn and X. Thank you again for your time, everyone. And we will see you all